Hello and welcome to the Friday, November 20th edition of the TV on Basketball with your host, TV. This is part 3 of 3 of my podcast session with Critical Condition Sports. And this week, to finish off our session, we're going to be talking about each East team and what they should do this offseason. Really good episode. I usually would do these intros outside, but it's getting significantly colder in Canada, so I'm doing it inside for now. But yeah, I hope you really do enjoy this episode. Remember, all of these links can be found in my description. So show him your support. He has another podcast coming out this Friday with the real Corey Mack, so you would want to check that out. And yeah, I hope you really do enjoy this video. Remember to leave your thoughts below on what you think these East teams should do this offseason. And with the draft coming up and stuff, with the draft happening and all that, and free agency starting this Monday, man, these past podcasts are going to get real good over the next few weeks. So, yeah, really excited to talk, for that, and I hope you guys really do enjoy this episode. Remember to follow at TV on Basketball on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for updates on the podcast and for other content. And remember to show your support on YouTube when you like, share, and subscribe. That'd be very much appreciated. And also, if you're on any of the podcast networks, remember to follow or subscribe in any sort of way, leave a review, and all that good stuff. So yeah, I won't keep you here any further. Let's turn it back to myself and Joe for this podcast, and I hope you all guys really do enjoy it. Take it easy, guys, and let's get right into it. Welcome back, guys, and we're going to try and now talk about the East now. I think Joe had a lot to say about the West teams and stuff like that. But the East, I've talked about in my season in review podcast. There's just so many bad teams here that it's really ugly out here in the East. So, especially like at the very bottom of the standings, like I think we're gonna move through these first few teams really, really quickly, just because just because they're trash. I'm not afraid to say it. They're just trash. So let's go to the Cleveland Cavaliers to start off with. They were the worst team in the league this year. I already bashed on them on my season review podcast. I hate the whole organization. They just cannot do like a lot of things well.
Ownership's bad, man. In my opinion,
it's just horrible. Yeah, it's just horrible. What do you think? What can you do to help salvage this team? What do you think they should do?
I mean, it's pretty much going to go back to what we said about the Oklahoma City Thunder, man. I feel like the thing about the difference between them, though, is that they've been in a rebuild, man, ever since LeBron left. Yeah. I feel like they should just move off Kevin Love, in my opinion, man, just because of the fact that, you know, you'll get rid of a contract, and I mean, there's not really, I can't really think of a lot of real bright spots for this franchise, man. Exactly. If there's one thing I could say, man, is draft better. I mean, learn to draft, man, because they're taking back-to-back season. They're taking point guards, man. Back-to-back seasons, man, and it's hurting players' development, man, just because of the fact that who you're gonna give minutes to, or it just really screws up with the lineups. So I would just hit draft better, man. I mean, trade away Kevin Love. I mean, that's all I pretty much got to say about them.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I have the exact same thing written on my notes here. Just trade Kevin Love, trade Drummond if you can. You're probably gonna get nothing for Drummond. Just get rid of all the big contracts, honestly. And what really annoys me is I read a statement from the Cavs a few days ago. It's like, oh, we still want to compete. We're gonna try to accelerate this rebuild. And I'm like,
Dan Gilbert's the owner, correct?
Yeah. And I'm like, with what? What do you have there? What do you have here that is gonna show your fans, gonna show the league that you guys are not rebuilding? Just go all in on the rebuild. There's no reason not to.
Exactly, man. And I lived in Cleveland, man, for a year. Man, I feel bad for the fans, man, because they love their Cleveland sports, man, and it seems like they just can't catch a break. The Browns may be good, this year in the NFL for them, but I mean, they're not really good. You know what I mean? So it just sucks, man, for that fan base, man, because they're terrific fans, man, and Cleveland, as much as people want to give them flack, man, it's still a nice city to me, man. You know what I mean? It's nice to me,
Yeah.
So it sucks for them.
Yeah, 100%. I don't want to go anywhere further with this, but this team's a mess. I just hope that they just do better by the fans. I really do. Let's move on to the next team, and we're going to go with a team with a little bit more promise. We're going to look at the Atlanta Hawks. Kind of a rough season for them. Trae Young still played pretty well this year, but the whole thing with John Collins, 25-game suspension very early into the season and stuff like that. They did trade for Clint Capella at the trade deadline as well to help with the defensive help, but he never got to play a game yet. Joe, what do you think they should do this offseason?
I would try to acquire a veteran guard like Terry Rozier, man, from the Hornets.
Yeah.
Just because of the fact that Teague is gonna hit free agency, man.
Yeah.
You still need I feel like, again, veteran presence is very important for me, man, especially for like a young player like Trae Young, who's fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, he is pretty much essentially the team, man. He's the face of the franchise, and I feel like if you have a veteran player that can obviously give some mentorship, because obviously we're not perfect. Obviously, you're trying to improve, and Trae Young's a competitor. I feel like this team is going to be on the right track, man. I feel like, Capella was a big move for them. Obviously, you take care of that center position. You really have to worry about that. I know that there were rumors about getting Drummond. That didn't happen.
Yeah.
Clint Capella's solid, though.
Yeah.
I like this young core that this team has. If anything, man, it's just making sure that people stay out of trouble. Like, Collins, you talk about the suspension that really hurt them early on and really put an end to their season right away, man.
Yeah, they did.
So I feel like, again, a veteran player like Terry Rozier is going to really help this team a lot. And they just really got to work on the culture, man, more than anything.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Terry Rozier, honestly, paired with Trae Young, he'll definitely take off the load in terms of handling the ball, so he doesn't have to handle the ball every single possession. I went very similar to that. I didn't go Terry Rozier, but I said try and sign Jordan Clarkson off the Utah Jazz. I mean, basically the same idea as you, guy who's done it, who has been to the NBA Finals with the Cleveland Cavaliers. It's all about building the culture. It's all about building the culture there in Atlanta. And I think someone like Jordan Clarkson, who has seen through the worst of the Lakers, who's seen the best, almost near the best of the Cavs, like he has like a lot of, I think, knowledge that he can spread to the team. And he's just a good scorer as well. I mean, he was very good for the Jazz this year as a good pickup. And I think pair him up with Trae Young, like Terry Rozier will, he's going to help relieve the ball handling duties of him as well. So, just get like a guard, just start building because you have a bunch of young guys already with Hunter, Collins, Reddish, and Young. It's all about trying to bring in the type of veterans to help build this team. So either way, if you go with Terry, if you try to trade for Terry Rozier, sign for Jordan Clarkson, just get some veterans in there for Atlanta, and I think they will be on the right track.
Absolutely.
Move on to the next team, and we talked about them from last episode, but the Detroit Pistons. And there's not a lot to look at. I think they're very much in the same kind of boat as the Cavs in the sense where there's just not a lot to be kind of positive about this team. And they need a lot of work. But what do you think is the one move they should? What's the one move they should do this offseason?
I would move off Blake Griffin, man. I would try to get rid of that contract. We talked a little bit about this on your last episode. The Pistons right now are in the sense they're just they're rebuilding, and I feel like they're trying to get a lot of contracts off their books, man. So I feel like you can get something for Blake, and I feel like moving off that contract would help, and just try to work with try to get a young core built in, man.
Yeah. That should be especially a number one priority on that list for the Detroit Pistons. Is just completely going on the rebuild. See what you can get for Derrick Rose, if he's just going to buy him out, at least let him go to a team that actually could use him for good.
For sure.
Yeah, there's just put it in the same thing as the Cavs. We could just basically copy and paste what we said for the Cavs onto the Pistons. For me, if there's one bright spot on the Pistons, re-sign Christian Wood. Christian Wood, after Andre Drummond got traded, was averaging 22 points and 10 rebounds for the team. And I think he was basically besides Derrick Rose, the only bright spot of the Pistons. Yeah. I don't think he's going to consistently be able to do that over the course of his career, but I still think there's a lot of good that can come from Christian Wood. And I think if there's one thing that the Pistons should be at least trying to do is just keep him around. Not much to say forward. Yeah, at least you could just build on Christian Wood. He's not going to be your number one option, but at least he's going to be there. He's going to be a good player, and he's still relatively young at 25 years old. But yeah, trade Blake Griffin, keep Christian Wood. Let's just move on. I just don't want to talk about the Pistons. Okay. Oh my gosh, I just realized who's next. The New York Knicks. I'm telling you, man, the bottom of this East is ugly.
Yeah, it's rough. It definitely is rough. I mean, preparing for it, man, was rough too.
It was rough, man. It's really hard, but we could bash on the Knicks for hours on end here. Everyone could be bashing on the Knicks.
Terrible luck, man. And I do want to point something out to you. I think the funniest time, I know everyone says April Fools is the time where people joke around and everything. Yeah. I think, and I've gotten the pleasure to talk to you about this, man. It was when the lottery was happening, man, and the Knicks the Knicks just keep getting screwed, man. And I remember showing you, sending you memes and stuff like that, man. I mean, it's all in fun and games, man. We're joking, right? But I mean, it's funny, man. I mean,
it's hilarious. This team is
how does this team, man? This team is legit cursed, man.
Yeah, 100%, man.
You can't explain it, man.
Yeah, you can't. No, I can't explain it.
Okay,
get rid of James Dolan. James Dolan.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Sell the team.
You can't script this though, man.
Yeah, you can't script it. You can't. But he needs to get out of there. He's like, we talk about bad luck. Just get rid of him. He's the bad luck. Just get him. Like, tell him to like. This guy is like banning people from arenas just because they're like telling him to sell the team and stuff like that. Like, this whole team is a mess. And like you said, they've had like one of the worst runs of form. Like they're like one of the unluckiest teams in the league as well. I feel bad for Knicks fans because they are one of the most storied franchises in NBA history.
They are,
but it's just too funny. It's just too funny the way things have gone over the last few years. But going back to the offseason moves, what are you gonna what should they do?
I mean, man, I'm gonna go throw in a little Hail Mary here, man, for this team, because obviously anything's good for the Knicks right now. Yeah. I don't think the probability will happen of this, so I'll go on the record as saying this. Yeah. But man, I would try to go get like Zach LaVine, man, and start to build this team around, man. Now I don't think, again, probability of that happening is very high.
Very high.
But and we'll go over this late. We'll go over this later. But I would try to get a star like Zach LaVine in New York, man. I feel like he can move around some of those assets in there, man. And I think it's very important to have a legit face of the franchise for the New York team. I mean, that's the way you got to start off, man. And we talk about the draft being a hit or miss, man. I mean, they hit on a player. That player didn't want to play there, though, Porzingis. You know, and the thing about this, man, it's just such a cursed franchise, though, man. But you need a legit star. And TV, to be quite honest with you, man, I mean, there isn't the face of the franchise there, man. Right now, and that's what they're like. You got to. It's like football, man. You got to get your quarterback first, man. Get everything else later. You got to get your star first. That's what I would do for the Knicks. So.
Yeah, I was definitely looking at that type of option. I mean, Zach LaVine, honestly, that's a good idea. My only like thing is that he would kind of like interfere with RJ Barrett. They kind of do the same sort of thing. So like I don't know like how that's gonna work. Maybe he put LaVine at point guard or something like that. You never know. But I definitely think that they just need to bring in a name. They need to bring in a name, like
something like that.
They just need to bring something. It was so hard for me. I was looking through the league. I'm like, who is like even like really possible to trade for? If it was last year, I would say like Devin Booker, but I think the Suns are not letting go of him now, especially of what happened last year. Bradley Beal, I don't think he's fit. Like he's never really shown he's a number one. At least Zach LaVine has experience in that. And just looking through the league, I'm like, I just don't think anyone wants to go to the Knicks. I just think I hate like with the Knicks. I think like this is the one team where I don't want to play the waiting game with because they've been bad for so long that they kind of need to make moves. But they have to I think what they have to do is like eventually they just have to hope they hit one draft pick again. Like you said, Porzingis, they found something there, but he just didn't want to play there. You just gotta.
I mean, Phil Jackson too, man. Jesus.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. Yeah, this team is a whole mess. I just think that, especially you just have to, especially with the way the draft order went, like what he said, like they were I think they have the 8th or 7th pick.
They have the 8th pick.
They have the 8th pick. Yeah.
Yeah, they have the 8th pick.
Yeah, so I just think that what they should do here is because the last offseason was a mess as well. They brought in 5 power forwards, and they didn't do anything for them. I think what they should do is, besides RJ Barrett and Mitchell Robinson, trade all your old guys, take in some bad contracts just so you can get assets, and then hopefully next year you could trade for them because they don't have assets either. That's the problem. Like if you trade for someone like a Zach LaVine, they just don't have assets for some reason. I was looking through the draft picks. I'm like, why don't you have other people's picks? Like that's what you're supposed to do right now when you're rebuilding.
You collect them.
You collect picks. They're assets. You have to just keep doing that. And the Knicks haven't done that. So I think just this offseason, that should be their goal, just to gain assets. That should be the main priority, just gain assets. Because
you don't think – and I'm sorry to cut you off there, but so you're talking about the assets part of this, though. So there's no way in hell you could see this team trying to climb up to a number 1 or number 2 spot this year in the draft?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Unless they – I just don't – I'm just looking at their roster. I'm like, unless they trade RJ Barrett, there's no way close. There's just not enough players, for them to at least other teams are confident in trying to trade for, whether it's Kevin Knox, whether it's
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So it's going to be tough for them
Okay.
this year. I just think they just have to just get assets now and just like take the L on this season again and just try and go for next year. But what they have to do in order to get these assets is just like you have to take on some of the bad contracts in the league, and then hopefully like like for example take on the Al Horford contract from the 76ers, so maybe
Yeah.
you can get like a first round pick from them, just so like you have something to build off of. So I mean, we can name like 10, 20 things to help fix the Knicks, and it probably will still lead them to not making the playoffs. But
Yeah, for sure.
I just don't want to. This Knicks team is a whole mess. So let's move forward. Let's talk about the Chicago Bulls. I thought last year they might make a push to the playoffs. Another disappointing year for them. I believe they finished 11th in the East. Joe, what do you think they should do this year?
I feel like for this team, I want to go back to a veteran man player.
Yeah.
I don't think, obviously, I told you about the Knicks right now.
Yeah.
I don't think they would move off Levine because of the fact that Billy Donovan's coach now, and I feel like a big reason why Billy Donovan left the Thunder was because he didn't want to be a part of a full-on rebuild.
Yeah.
So Donovan's coming into this team, and with this, if you're going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's the number one goal, in my opinion, when it comes to the Bulls right now. As far as to get themselves there, man, I would really like to see if they can get Drummond to be a part of that team. I know that they have a young core right now with Wendell Carter and Lauri Markkanen, but I feel like if you're able to get Drummond there and maybe trade away Lauri Markkanen and get a good amount of like picks or maybe another player in there, that would really help the Chicago Bulls, man. For me, this was a tough one to really wrap my head around. So I would just say, try to get Drummond, or if not, trade away Markkanen so you can get some good some draft picks, or at least get another player that you can fit into your starting lineup there.
Yeah, for sure. The Chicago Bulls, I think that was their aspiration this season as well. That's why they signed people like Thaddeus Young, Tomas Satoransky.
Yeah,
they were trying to do that this year, but again, I mean, it was Jim Boylan. Let's be completely honest. Jim Boylan is just not a good head coach. Like you talked about coaching before, and Jim Boylan is like one of the worst head coaches in the league that I've seen in recent memory. I'm glad they moved off him. They brought in someone like Billy Donovan to help like kind of like change the culture there. And I agree with you. They should make moves that can like help improve the starting lineup. And for me, I think they should like seek out a trade for a player on the Miami Heat who actually had a pretty good season this year. Kind of moved off of out of the rotation, so I don't think the Miami Heat wouldn't mind trading this guy away. I think pairing up Kendrick Nunn, bringing him to the team, pairing him up with Zach LaVine. The Drummond thing could be interesting. I just want Wendell Carter to keep developing, so I would like trust him with the center position. But if you bring in like Kendrick Nunn, he fits the timeline of like Zach LaVine, Markin, and stuff like that. And he also showed that he is a good NBA player when given the chance. I mean, he was third in Rookie of the Year voting. Yes, he got moved out of the starting lineup in the NBA Finals and stuff like that, but he's had his moments. He definitely had his moments, and he's proven that he can still be a good player. So bringing in Kendrick Nunn to help, Zach LaVine up in that backcourt, I think wouldn't be a bad idea.
That's a good move.
Yeah. We're going to move on to the next team, and we're going to be talking about the Charlotte Hornets. Again, one of those just horrible East teams that just like has not had the luck over the last few years, especially with draft picks and stuff. What do you think they should do this offseason?
I think they need to acquire some draft picks, man. And I feel like they need to build around guys like Devontae Graham, PJ Washington, and Miles Bridges. I feel like that's your core right there at this point. And anything that the Hornets does right now should be about trying to move off some of their veteran players. And like, we talk about like Terry Rozier moving off and getting some picks there to really help build that foundation, because Devontae Graham and Miles Bridges, I like, and they're good. And I feel like PJ Washington for what it is. I mean, I feel like that's a solid a young core there that you just really got to build around. I mean, it's tough with this franchise, in my opinion there, but I mean, that's the best way that I see it going.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they have a bunch of bad contracts there. Just looking at the payroll, like they have to deal with a Bismack Biyombo contract for like how many number of years. Nick Batum is still getting paid like $8 million next year, which is absolute highway robbery for that team. Yeah. So, but yeah, I think like, trying to get draft picks obviously is always a goal for a young team. But I do think that they should actually like kind of, take a chance on one of the big time free agents of this offseason. I think bringing in someone like a Montrezl Harrell maybe to like, inject some energy into the franchise wouldn't be a bad fit. And I'm not saying, sign him to a 5-year over $20 million deal. Maybe signing him for maybe like 3 years, $50 million, just like a short-term deal, and see like how he fits with the team. Just because like they have a nice young core. Maybe if you like bring in Montrezl Harrell, he could bring that energy, and maybe like just make like add some grit to these like young guys that he's definitely like played with before in the LA Clippers. So I think I think like they've finally have a core that they can be kind of confident in like going forward, at least for the next few years. But if you just bring in like another veteran just because they have a bunch of young guys, especially one that can actually contribute like a Montrezl Harrell, I think wouldn't be a bad idea for the Charlotte Hornets.
For sure.
Yeah. Next team, I swear we're gonna get through these bad teams really quickly. The Washington Wizards. The Washington Wizards. This year, obviously, they had to deal with the John Wall injury, who has not played for the last year and a half.
Yeah, man, I can't even remember the last time I saw John Wall.
Exactly, play. I miss him playing. He was so fun to watch, especially like 2-3 years ago. He was definitely one of those like fun players to watch in the league. And hopefully, he comes back this year, and maybe they can help propel the Wizards to another playoff appearance. But I mean, there's still some things they could do here with the team. What do you think they should do this offseason?
To be honest with you, man, I feel like, my confidence level in this team has really gone down, man, just because of the fact that I feel like I've come to this conclusion with the Wizards that I think the best thing for them to do, man, is count their losses, blow it up, and trade away Beal and Wall and acquire a king's ransom. Maybe not so much for Wall. I feel like you can get – I think Wall's a good player. I feel like you can get something good for him. But, he's got a terrible contract.
Yeah.
And, Beal – I don't know what to make if Beal truly wants to stay with this team or not, man, in my opinion. So I think the best way to go is to just cut ties, man, and just blow it up, man. Move off Bertans, like you said earlier in another episode, and just really try to go on a hard rebuild there.
Yeah. That's definitely an option that the Wizards can definitely take. I'm actually like kind of like I'm kind of going the opposite way for you here. I just think because of like how much they paid John Wall in that thing, like on that contract, you at least give it 1 year to make it work. Because like I don't think because he hasn't even played under his new contract yet. That's how long he hasn't been playing for.
Yeah, it's been a while, man.
It's been a while. So I'm like just give it a shot. I just said just give it a shot, and like you try to take like just chances here in this upcoming season. And for me, like by taking like a chance is trying to bring someone in like a Hassan Whiteside or a DeMarcus Cousins. Those are two guys who have had all-star type seasons before. I mean, DeMarcus Cousins had a bunch of injuries over the past 2 years, so he's clearly not near the player he is. But you have to try something. And when you have this like I think it's like over $70 million tied into Beal and John Wall, you have to try and make something work. And I think like Hassan Whiteside has shown flashes. I mean, you talked about him, I think last episode, wanting to stay with the Portland Trail Blazers. I think the Wizards should give a chance, like take a chance on him and maybe like be that defensive center or even DeMarcus Cousins and see if he can even be 70% of his old self. I mean, John Wall has always been wanting DeMarcus Cousins to join the Wizards anyway. So
for sure,
just take chances and honestly just go for it this year. If you're not even close to where you want to be, completely blow it up and just start over again. But right now, I just think because they have so much money tied into these guys and they haven't even really played with each other, just give it a chance, and I think that's what they should just do at least for this season. So
if they get off to a terrible start, though, would you consider a trade at the trade deadline?
For this team, I think it's like a whole year type thing. I think John Wall and Bradley Beal, I think they're two good players. Like they're just good enough just to take you to the playoffs, especially in a very trash East. I think they're just good enough to like.
I mean, if you're in the East, you got a chance, man.
Yes, and I think like Beal and Wall are just that good of a player just to like at least make them there. I think like whatever happens in the playoffs is going to determine what they're going to do in the next offseason. So I think this is something you just go through with the rest of the year. If it's an absolute disaster, then trade like in the trade deadline. But if it's like a 7-6 seed, see what they could do in the playoffs and then try to make those moves next year.
Okay.
Yeah. Now we're moving on to the playoff teams, and still this team is still pretty trash in my opinion. We're gonna be talking about the Orlando Magic. I've talked about in the past, they are the definition of an average team. They're not good. They're not bad. They're average. They're just the most average team in the league, in my opinion. And I think there's a lot of ways they can go with this during this offseason. What do you think they should do this offseason?
I feel like they should trade away Bamba, man. I feel like they should trade him away. Yeah, he's a young player, man.
Yeah.
He got drafted in 2018. I feel like though he's not really gonna get those minutes just because Vucevic is still there, man, and you're paying him his money. He has a couple years left on his contract. I feel like Bamba's not gonna really get a lot of opportunities to play. Obviously, albeit if there's an injury, but I feel like you can legitimately get something. I would really like to see Bamba get traded to the Thunder, man. That'd be a team that
Definitely
would makes a lot of sense. Again, because of all those draft picks that you have, I feel like the Magic could benefit from that, man. Or even just move off Aaron Gordon. But the player I'm going to stick to is just trade out Bamba, man. In my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't know what the draft strategy was over the last few years for the Orlando Magic. I mean, they like for some reason they signed Bismack Biyombo to a massive deal, and then after they got Mo Bamba, then they signed Vucevic to a big deal. I didn't know what the hell they were doing. Like earlier
So
on,
you see,
I definitely see what you mean. At least give Bamba a chance. Like even like the Thunder honestly feel like the perfect place for him. I actually really like that idea, just to give him a chance like in the league. But for me, I think this very much coincides with my Spurs pick from last episode. I was talking about how the Spurs should um, trade to get Aaron Gordon. For me, I found like this really good idea. Maybe the Orlando Magic, just so they can get like a boost in their offense, try and trade for someone like DeMar DeRozan to kind of like infuse that offense. Because it's, let's be honest, they've just been really like their offense there's like nothing. How do I want to say it? There's no flair to their offense. It's Vucevic and Aaron Gordon. I mean, Aaron Gordon can dunk and stuff, but it's just like not much creativity there. When you have someone like DeMar DeRozan, you're guaranteed at least like 23, 24 points a game from him. He could be your main ball handler. He's actually not a bad passer. I just think like adding someone like a DeMar DeRozan, especially on the perimeter, is just someone who can help just like build up that offense better. I just really think that they just need like a boost like on the offensive end. I think adding someone DeMar DeRozan, even for a year or two, especially if he takes that option, at least like it gives them like some sort of like kind of boost to their offense.
Yeah, and it's interesting to me, man, because Orlando's not a bad market, man, and just seeing like in my opinion, and you can correct me again if I'm wrong here, but they don't really attract a lot of big free agents here, man. And
I mean,
Orlando's not a bad market, man. It really isn't, and it's a beautiful area, man. Obviously, hurricane season it sucks, but you know what I mean. It's a nice market, man, and that's what really it intrigues me, the fact that they don't really attract big name players to that area.
Yeah, I just think the reason for that is that it just feels like especially I think even in Orlando, like you're in America. Tell me if I'm wrong, but like Orlando feels like an afterthought in Florida. Like no one really like talks about them.
Yeah, you know what? I agree with you on that. You're right, because you say Florida, everyone thinks Miami Beach.
Yeah, and stuff like that. So I just think like there's just not a lot of attention on that team, and I mean, ever since Dwight Howard, there really isn't like much to really shout about, for sure. So like there's just like honestly like I think just like trying to bring in at least a name, an all-star, and like DeMar DeRozan to pair up with Vucevic can maybe like inject your team with a bit of like oomph or something like that. So, some juice, yeah. That's the word I was trying to find. Yeah, some juice. So I think that wouldn't be a bad idea. We're gonna move on to the Brooklyn Nets, and this is one of the most interesting teams in the league, especially because we haven't seen KD and Kyrie play together. It's gonna be really interesting to see how they do next year in the East. But before we see them play, where do you think they should do this offseason?
So TV, so for the Nets, it is the most intriguing team to me going into this upcoming season. There is high hopes. If anything, man, if you're the Nets, man, I mean, you should, be without a doubt a top 3 team in the East, without a doubt. Respecting Boston and respecting the Bucks. You know what I mean? Miami's there. You know what I mean? It's gonna be it's very intriguing. But for the Nets, I would go out and get your true number 3. And by that I mean, when the Nets signed, Kevin Durant, Kyrie, people were talking about, DeAndre Jordan being number 3. I'm like, or they're getting their big 3. And I'm like, what the world, man? Like DeAndre Jordan?
Yeah.
Jesus, man. You can't shoot free throws, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, so by getting their number 3, man, I like DeRozan from the Spurs. I do. I feel like, you can get him over there, team up with KD and Kyrie, man. I feel like that would be the move to go for the Nets, man, and get your true number 3 there. I don't know if you agree or disagree with me on that one.
No, we were almost. I thought you were gonna say the name I was gonna say because we basically went through the same like mindset. We're like, they need a
Yeah,
number
yeah.
three. They definitely need a number three, and I went that same route too. But I didn't go DeMar DeRozan. I went
Okay.
CJ McCollum of the Portland
Oh, dude,
Trailblazers.
that's solid too, man.
Yeah,
That would be sick, man. I don't know
yeah,
if the Blazers would want to move
go
off
to,
that,
yeah,
but that would be sick, man. That would be
yeah. That'd
sick.
be sick.
Yes.
Yeah, that was my idea, and I think like I know the Trailblazers had this backcourt of Lillard and McCollum for it feels like forever now, and I think like if the Nets, I mean the Nets have assets. That's the good thing with the Nets. They have assets to like trade to the
Yeah, like
Trailblazers
you can move off Levert.
over. And the thing is like because like I think they really need to move off Levert because he's just not going to excel off the bench. I just don't think he's going to play well because like you see him like in the bubble, like he plays like better when he has the ball in his hands. Like he was averaging like over 23 points a game in the bubble. Like if you just give him like the keys, like he can actually be a pretty good player. Like and I think like he gets more of an opportunity in
Yeah.
Portland. And I think like I mean it's not going to just be a straight swap of Levert and McCollum. Maybe you could throw in Spencer Dinwiddie, and I think that can really help the Blazers bench. But back to the Nets, McCollum, Irving, and Durant, that's gonna give you like almost 90 points a game between the three.
Dude, that would be sick. All if you get all three of those guys, hitting on all cylinders, man. That'd
Yeah,
be insane, man. That would be insane.
yeah,
The reason why I wouldn't include
yeah,
that though,
yeah,
I don't know, man. If there's one thing Portland is to me,
yeah,
man, or like one thing that Dame has emphasized is this whole loyalty thing and
yeah,
being true to it, man. So
yeah,
I feel like they would try to move off CJ, man. I feel like he would have a lot. He would step in. I
yeah,
don't know though. I really
yeah,
I love that take though, man. To be honest,
yeah,
yes, I do.
yeah. That is a. I just think that would be a good idea, and I think that would like really solidify them as either the, like you say, top three. I think like if they had CJ McCollum, they're going to be a 1 or 2 seed in the.
No,
the
they could win it, man.
could win
Yeah,
it. Yeah,
that would be very different, man.
yeah,
Because I like Demar,
yeah,
and I feel like Demar can contribute, man.
yeah.
But Column would be dirty, man. That would be just
Yeah,
dirty.
that would be honestly that would be absolutely perfect. And for like all the, I was thinking about like how bad they're gonna be defensively, especially with a backcourt of Irving and McCollum. And I'm like, I mean, that's what basically the Trailblazers had for the past like 5 years now. I mean, Lillard and McCollum are not defending anyone, so I think they can
Yeah,
work it out in Brooklyn as well. So, I mean, I like both of our ideas. Like both guys, if they can end up getting one of them, I think would be absolutely fantastic. I actually really like
yeah.
the DeRozan one as well. And I just think like either way, the Brooklyn Nets are going to be one of those teams next year. Man, they're going to be very very good.
Watch out, yeah.
Yeah. Next team we're going to talk about is my most hated team in this league, the Philadelphia 76ers. And there's a lot of things you could do with this team. Whole new management with Morey, with Doc Rivers as the head coach. What move do you think they should make this offseason out of the plenty that they're probably going to do?
Man, dude, I'm gonna go out and tell you this right now though. We talk about the Knicks, man, but this team, Jesus,
Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
just the audacity, man, of this
Yeah.
franchise, man,
Yeah.
to build this culture on losing, man, and saying to trust the process.
Yeah.
How the process ended up working out for them, man. This
Yeah.
team had shooters before this, man, and now I'm gonna go ahead and tell you right now, TV, that
man.
they got rid of shooters, man. But
Yeah,
they
I
need
hate
shooters.
that. Yeah, they need
Yeah,
shooters.
they need shooters, man.
Yeah.
They were constructed good, man,
Yeah.
and they got rid of shooters. And what people are saying now, they need to get someone that can shoot the damn ball.
Exactly.
And they've gotten themselves into some real bad salary cap issues with some real bad contracts. The Tobias Harris one, not a good one. The Horford one is worse.
Yes.
So this team has done some mind-puzzling things, in my opinion. So what I would do if I was the Sixers, man, I would, with Morey there, it's a hard one, man. I would try to do whatever I can and try to get James Harden in Philadelphia.
Oh, you're going big. Okay.
I'm going big, man. And
Yeah.
I would I know you're the patient one, man, out of the both of us, man.
Oh no, I'm not patient with this team. I'm not patient with this team. I'm not patient. Yeah.
So hear me out here, man.
Yeah.
I would now this would really screw. I don't think this would happen, obviously, because I think this would really screw the Rockets, though, man.
Yeah.
But I would trade away. You got to move off Embiid or Simmons. One of those two. It's not working.
Yeah.
It's not working, man.
Yeah.
I would try to get rid of package Simmons with somebody else and move him off and just give whatever you got to give to get James Harden there, man.
Yeah.
That's a blast to this franchise.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going to.
Yeah, that is not a bad idea with like getting James Harden. Obviously with Morey being there and stuff like that,
That's why.
That's a big reason why a lot of like these rumors even started. I think that's a very good idea. And like I said, I was not patient with this team, and what I mean by that is like trade everyone in that franchise
Okay.
apart from Ben Simmons and Embiid. I think like if you just give them like at least Doc Rivers, I think like Doc Rivers can like maybe try and make things work. But for me, try to trade everyone else on your roster and just get shooters around them. I don't want to see anyone else taking mid-range jumpers. I hate watching Tobias Harris play in this NBA. I like
Yeah,
Al Horford was horrible. Just get Simmons, Embiid, and shooters. That's it. That's all I want to see this team do this offseason. And for me, trading for someone who was very disgruntled in their team, Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield, I think, is the perfect player to
yeah,
try and get for this team. He doesn't need the ball in his hands at all, really. He could be a really good catch and shoot player. He could take it to the rim every once in a while, but if you want someone to shoot buckets, ask Buddy Hield. He'll shoot like 8 to 10
for
threes
sure.
a game. He'll shoot 8 to 10 threes a game. I mean, like I said, I wasn't patient with this team, but I just think like 1 year with Simmons and Embiid with Doc Rivers and hopefully Daryl Morey like building a team around them, because I just think this is like a whole like new organization now, like with like Daryl Morey being there and Doc Rivers. I think you give them like a bit of time to make this work, especially because you have two all time like you have two like once in a generation type
Talent.
players, once in a generation type talents with like Embiid and Simmons. I think you try and make that work at least 1 year. If it really becomes a disaster again, which I wouldn't be surprised with the 76ers at that point, because every year feels like a disaster, like a disastrous season. But I just think banning someone Buddy Hield is like a good first step for them to move forward in this
Okay.
franchise. Next thing we're going to talk about, it's going to be weird talking about an NBA finalist this
Yeah.
early into the podcast, but the Miami Heat, the fifth seed, made it to the NBA Finals, were 6 games against the Los Angeles Lakers. They have some good pieces there. What do you think they should do this offseason?
You know, I'm gonna go on the record though. Miami will not make it to a Eastern Conference Finals, man, in about another 4 or 5 years, man. This is not gonna happen again. Throw it out there, man. I mean, this bubble.
Yeah,
I would say try to acquire Aaron Gordon, man, from the Orlando
Aaron Gordon.
Magic.
Yeah,
So I think that'd be an interesting one. I feel like you can move off Kendrick Nunn. I feel
yeah,
like even though
yeah.
Kendrick Nunn did good, he really wasn't included in that final rotation, man.
Yeah,
So you got it. You trade him out, get Gordon in there to help. I mean, Gordon, as much as he's declined, he's still 24 years old, man. So I still feel like he can still build off his game. I think Eric Spoelstra is a phenomenal coach, regardless, man.
yeah,
Of me telling you that stuff about the
yeah,
Miami Heat, and
yeah,
I feel like Hero Man's got to step up, man. In my opinion, this guy. A lot of people are making a big deal of this guy. I mean, it's a joke, man. To be honest with you, man, get it done when the NBA is back to normal. I understand in the world that we live in right now, that may not be the case the next season. But man, get it done. Let's see what you
yeah,
can do, man. Let's see what you
yeah,
can do, man. I mean,
yeah,
I feel like maturity and stuff like that is going to be a real big thing with this franchise. I feel like getting Aaron Gordon in there to help this team out and get some good coaching in there, man, and help him improve, man, could really help out this Miami team if you're able to get something out of him,
yeah.
get some better production out of him.
Yeah, for sure. I think a common theme within these two podcasts is I think Aaron Gordon just needs to get out of Orlando. He just needs to
Yeah,
get it. He just needs to get out of Orlando. And I think like Miami Heat, again, good coaching, good development. I mean, you saw what they did with Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson this year. They were able to get like really good production out of those two. And I think they could do the same if they bring in Aaron Gordon.
yeah,
I'm going a bit bigger though. I think that they should bring in like a veteran guard who honestly has like is stuck on a young team, but I think like he could still provide a lot to especially a championship contender. I say go after Drew
so
Holiday.
okay,
Drew
that'd be
Holiday.
interesting.
Yeah, Drew Holiday. My only issue, like my only thing, like with Drew Holiday, like what, and I definitely like made sure to like put this in here. It's gonna kind of hurt them like trying to get Giannis next year, which I believe is their main goal to bring in Giannis Antetokounmpo to this team. That should be a
For
good.
Miami.
Yeah, I think for next year, I think that's like I think
Okay.
they've heavily expressed that, and Drew Holiday has a player option for that season. But I think if things work out and he really does like the culture in Miami, you can convince him to not take his player option and maybe take a reduced deal and create this absolute monster of a team with like Drew Holiday, Jimmy Butler, Giannis, Bam, and all them. Like I think you can create something monstrous here in Miami if you play
That'd
the
be
cards right.
interesting.
Yeah, you can like play if you play the cards right, you can like have like this monster of a team. And I think, but if I mean, I don't. I still have my doubts of them making the Eastern Conference Finals again this year as well. But if you bring in Drew Holiday, it definitely improves those chances, in my opinion. And
For
I think
sure.
like if especially like you have a couple young guys that you can like throw in there. You have some picks as well. That's not a bad idea. I think that's not a like horrible idea to especially because he is one of the best defensive guards in the league. He could still give you like 17, 18 points a night. I think that would be a good option for them. Yeah. Okay, moving forward, we're going to be going with the number 4 seed in the Eastern Conference, and we're going to be talking about the Indiana Pacers. This is honestly one of the most confusing teams in the league to me, and what they can
It
do in this
is, man.
offseason. One of the most confusing. But what do you think they should do here, Joe?
So this is gonna be a two-parter, man, for me.
Okay.
First, I do whatever I can to convince Oladipo to stay, because
I
Oladipo's
believe
already
that. I believe
expressed.
that. Yeah.
Oh, he's expressed. I mean, it's been expressed. It's leaked. Here's the thing about leaks, man. I mean, they're leaked for a reason, man. You know.
Yeah.
And I would try to just make sure, reaffirm him that it's his team.
Yeah.
Because Oladipo's a stud.
Yeah.
Then I would try to get. I would go to the Thunder, man, and try to get Dennis Schroeder, man.
That's not bad. I like that. I like that.
Yeah, so I would try to get Dennis Schroeder, man, because obviously we talked about in your last episode that the Thunder are going to go into a hard rebuild, blow it up.
Yeah.
Man, I think Dennis Schroeder with this team would be good, man. He could play some really good, solid complementary basketball, and I mean it gives you a good player to come off the bench.
Yeah.
So that's what I would do if I were them.
Yeah, definitely. They need to keep Oladipo. They really do need to keep
Yeah.
Oladipo there. I know like there's leaks for a reason, but I think that like if especially with the team you have around, you're trying to build around Oladipo, and if you
Yeah.
getting someone Dennis Schroeder, I think really does tell Oladipo, excuse me, hey, we know we're still like want to compete and we want to compete bad, and I mean
For sure.
they have like, a lot of good players there. I mean T.J. Warren, that's the one guy from the bubble I just don't believe in at all.
No,
Um,
I don't believe that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean Sabonis has been great last year, first time All Star. You have people like Malcolm Brogdon, who actually is a pretty good player as well. Bring Dennis Schroeder off the bench. I think that is actually a really good move.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. But for me, I think like this is mine. Mine is kind of a two-parter as well compared to you.
Yeah.
Same with you. Trade Miles Turner. That whole like for the last few years, it just hasn't been working with him and Sabonis in that front court. They just take up
Yeah.
too much space from each other, in that sense. And I say trade him away and try and sign Serge Ibaka. Serge Ibaka. He's obviously NBA champion with the Toronto Raptors. I don't want to lose him, but I think the Pacers would be a great fit for him. He's a good 3-point shooter. Probably he's like in this point in his career, he is like this is the best he's been shooting the 3 ball, and it just gives space for Sabonis underneath, who is already one of the best rebounders in the league. Already like is a very very good center as well. Bring in Serge Ibaka,
Yeah.
he can play defense and he can also hit the 3. And I think it'll just be a better fit for the team, like in general.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
a good one.
Yeah. And what's funny is like as we go on to the next team, which is the Boston Celtics. I'm actually gonna start here because I'm actually gonna start here, and I'm gonna ask for your thoughts afterwards because it kind of coincides with the Indiana Pacers thing. I think that my one off-season move for the Boston Celtics is to trade for Miles Turner. Trade for Miles Turner, and I think a lot of that has to do with like you watch the playoffs, I watched the playoffs. They got destroyed by Bam.
Yeah.
They got absolutely destroyed by Bam Adebayo in the playoffs just because they just have no one on that team that can guard him. I mean, Theis really did try his best, but he's just too small. He's too weak to deal with Bam Adebayo. And for the Celtics, I mean, that was like my 1 point like driving home throughout the entire season, even dating back to preseason. They need a center. If they want to have any real championship aspirations, they need a center. And although Daniel Theis is a good role player, he's just not not good enough to deal with the big men in this league, especially like with how skilled they are.
For sure. I definitely agree with you on that. I definitely feel like they need a center. My thing is the same thing. You got to get a dominant center for the Celtics. I feel like that's the one thing they were lacking. But here's the thing, though, man. I don't know about Miles Turner, man. I don't know if Miles Turner.
Yeah.
I don't trust Miles Turner going up against Bam. And we saw that we've seen that, and a lot of people like to criticize Turner just because they say that he's soft.
For sure. Yeah, I have seen
so, man, I know. Probably the probability of your thing happening over what I'm about to say is yours has the biggest probability of happening. But man, I would call and see what the probability of me getting Rudy Gobert would be, man, if I were the Boston Celtics, man.
That I really like that. I've seen that rumor, but I just think it's so hard to take him away from Utah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it would require moving off a good piece, man. But hey, what if you can package? You know what? Never mind. That's dumb. Hayward was with the Jazz already.
Yeah.
No, nah. But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
See what it would cost, man. But I would really like Rudy Gobert in Boston, man. That would be fantastic.
Yeah. No, honestly, even like you mentioned Gordon Hayward. I mean, he wouldn't be bad for the Jazz again. I mean, why not? I mean, I mentioned in the last episode. I mean, they need wing depth, and I think he already knows the coach and stuff like that. Knows the culture. That's not a bad idea, but I really do like the idea of having Rudy Gobert. I just think it's gonna take away too much.
It's too hard. Yeah, for sure.
Way too hard. Yeah, I mean, sure. Yeah, like we're gonna try and get like B tier Rudy Gobert and Miles Turner, like very much B tier, like a poor man's, very very poor man's version of Gobert.
Yeah,
but I think like with Miles Turner, if you I mean, if you have Marcus Smart in your ear, I mean, there wasn't really that enforcer in Indiana to really like test him and stuff like that. Marcus Smart's going to test this guy in practice, and he's going to toughen this guy up for sure. So I think like if you just like have the right culture like around him, especially like maybe he can be better like in a new system. I think that's like I think that's what I'm kind of betting on for them. But the Boston Celtics, I mean, they have a bright future ahead of them. They're probably going to be probably championship contenders over the next 3-4 years. Like especially
they have a shot.
They have a shot for sure. So yeah, there's the Boston Celtics. Next team. Oh, we're finally heading over to my neck of the woods. We're going to be talking about the Toronto Raptors. And I mean, rough way to go out to the playoffs. I mean, I have the Pascal Siakam issue, the stuff like that. It was a rough way to go out, but I still have hope in this team. Joe, what do you think they should do this offseason?
So I would try to get a veteran point guard like Derrick Rose, man, in there.
Really? Nice. Okay.
That's what I would do. I mean, there's the probability that you're gonna lose, Van Fleet.
Yeah.
There's a chance right there. Yeah. So I feel like getting a point guard is gonna be should be a very high on the priority list. A veteran player like Derrick Rose, who's good. He's a good vet to have there. I think that'd be the way to go right now for the Raptors.
Yeah. I really don't think. I mean, obviously, with Pascal Siakam, Kyle Lowry, and stuff still in the books, they're still going to try and compete. They're definitely still going to try and compete. And then bringing in Derrick Rose, it does sound like I mean, especially if they lose on Fred VanVleet, that does not seem like a bad option whatsoever.
Yeah.
My thing for the Raptors, they just need to re-sign VanVleet. Honestly, like they
need what?
They need to like make that a number one priority, signing Fred VanVleet back to the team.
Okay.
It's more because of the fact that Kyle Lowry, he's turning 35 years old soon. Yeah. And I think like especially at the end of his contract, we don't know if he wants to like stay with the team or not. I would love him to retire as a Toronto Raptor, but that's still very much up in the air. And when you have Fred VanVleet, who just knows the system so well, and I think he's like one of those players where if you put him outside of the Raptors system, he's just not going to be as good as he was on the Raptors. And I think like the Raptors can get the best out of him. And I think like even like say if you don't bring back Lowry, you still have Fred VanVleet. Like pairing him up with like if they still try to go for Giannis next offseason, pair him with Pascal Siakam. I think Fred VanVleet is just like a reliable hand. He's not going to make too many mistakes and stuff like that.
Yeah, he's good, man. I feel like they need to resign him, man, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, they just need to resign him, and I think like it's in the best interest of the Raptors, and it's also the best interest of Fred VanVleet. Like, I mean, he's he's arguably the best free agent in this draft in this class this year. I mean, it's very weak. It's extremely weak. So, I think my only problem is like how much money we're gonna pay for him, and I think like paying him between 20 to 22 million, I think is my limit. Going over that, I'm very iffy, and I'm kind of scared that the New York Knicks are going to offer him like 25 million a year, and we're going to have to try and go over that. Oh,
Jesus, man. They would. That would be a New York Knicks thing to do.
That is. But the thing is, like, I want Fred – I know the Knicks are going to do the Knicks thing and actually bring him in, and I don't want to lose Fred VanVleet, but 22 million is kind of my limit with him. I just don't think, like, he's, like, can take himself to that all-star level. But being a third option on a championship team, I wouldn't mind that for Fred VanVleet 100%, honestly, especially if you have, like, Siakam continuing to grow. And if they can get Giannis in the future as well, like, that would just be Fred VanVleet would just fit nicely there.
That'd be crazy, man, if they get Giannis.
Honestly, no. Honestly, our entire city is gonna freaking throw a parade if freaking Giannis signs with us. That'd be insane. The biggest signing in our franchise's history. Okay. Speaking of Giannis, we're going on to the final team in the Eastern Conference, and we're gonna be talking about the Milwaukee Bucks, who flamed out again in the playoffs this year, losing in 5 games.
I knew they would, sir. I told you they would disappoint, sir.
Yeah, I mean,
they would,
yeah.
sir.
Let's just go into this. What do you think they should do this offseason?
Man, dude, I would try to get JJ Redick, man. JJ Redick,
Yeah.
solid shooter, man. A guy that's a sniper. I feel like that'd be the move. I feel like you need to get. I mean, and they shoot well, man. The Bucks do shoot well. They play good defense.
Yeah.
I feel like with this team, man, it's really hard, man, just because of the fact that Giannis, man. I feel like Giannis had some issues, man, shooting the ball. Obviously, it's no, it's not a secret. So I would try to get another shooter that can handle the ball, like JJ Redick, man, to come off the bench to go out there and really help this team out. It's really hard though, just because if there's something I could do there's something I would change about this team is just tell Giannis, work on the damn shot,
Yeah.
But I mean, there's not, man, because when you look at this team, it's really hard to really make any major changes because I mean they play great defense.
Yeah.
They do. I like some of the players that they have, man. DiVincenzo's fantastic, man. I feel like, Brook Lopez on the defensive side of the ball was huge for them.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of these players do find ways to contribute. George Hill was good, later on for them.
Yeah.
And so it's really hard to really pinpoint one thing. I would just try to get, maybe another veteran point guard or try to get JJ Redick involved into this.
Yeah. I definitely do think they need a lot of shooting, like help on that team. And you listed a bunch of like players there. I mean, George Hill was great for them. Brook Lopez. Yeah. You talked about DiVincenzo. I actually really like him as a player as well.
Yeah.
There's one guy you didn't mention, and I'm gonna go on a little tirade of myself here.
Go for it.
Eric Bledsoe.
Bledsoe.
Yeah. Honestly, last year I already had my like doubts on him. And when he signed that extension with the Bucks, I thought like, okay, they're just gonna bring back the team next year. They're gonna bring back Brogdon. They're gonna bring back Bledsoe. They're just gonna run it back, even though they did lose to the Toronto Raptors.
They didn't.
But they let go of Brogdon.
Yeah.
They let go of Brogdon. That's the thing. I just never understood that. Why would you choose Bledsoe over Brogdon when Brogdon's style fits their team perfectly? It fits their team absolutely perfectly. He could shoot the basketball. He can handle the ball sometimes, and he can like set people up. I don't know why on earth did they choose Bledsoe over Brogdon, and it showed again this year. It just doesn't work. Like, why would you put another non-shooter beside Giannis? Like, it just hurts my mind knowing that they had someone in Malcolm Brogdon who honestly would have helped so much in that Miami Heat series. Like,
it might have been the difference, man.
It might have been the difference if you instead of Bledsoe you had Brogdon. That could have changed everything. But no, you decided to go with Bledsoe, and I really think that it just doesn't fit with him. I don't know why they are so persistent into keeping Eric Bledsoe on that team. It really does annoy the heck out of me that they let go of Brogdon for this dude. But I think they're gonna trade him away this offseason. I would be extremely disappointed if he's still the starting point guard come day one of the regular season. And I think they're gonna go big here. I think they're gonna try to go after Victor Oladipo for this team.
That'd be good.
I think that would be they just really need to shake things up, man. They just really need to shake things up. And I think what Giannis needs to do going forward is kind of do the LeBron, KD type thing where he takes 1-year deals and puts pressure on the organization to make moves. Because if Milwaukee is a small organization, we can both agree to that. They're like a small,
for sure,
small town,
market,
small market for sure. If they lose out on Giannis, they're doomed. They're absolutely doomed.
Absolutely.
And what Giannis needs to do with this team is to put pressure on them, make sure they make moves to make this team better. And I think bringing in Oladipo, obviously he has his injury concerns, but if you bring him in, it shows Giannis that, look, we brought you another all-star. We are we're going all in on you. You're our main guy. We're going to build around you. Here's another player who can defend basically any guard in the league, who can hit the 3-ball, who's highly athletic. Like he would honestly be like a perfect
piece. He's a beast.
Yeah, he's an absolute beast. And I think that they need to just make a big move this offseason to like at least show Giannis that they're willing to change a lot here. So there's that.
I agree with that.
Yeah. But yeah, any other thoughts with the Milwaukee Bucks before we move on?
No, I feel like that. I like your point when you say that, he should take year-to-year contracts just so he could put pressure on the organization. I feel like a lot of teams like to trap their players right there and
Yeah.
maybe lose sight of what really matters for them. So I feel like I agree with you on that, man. If they lose Giannis, though, I feel like we should have just said from the beginning, do whatever's going to keep Giannis happy, because if
Yeah.
you lose him, your
Yeah.
franchise is doomed, man.
Yeah, exactly. They just need to make do any move possible to just make sure that this guy stays with the organization.
Absolutely.
But yeah, those are the East moves. Leave down in the comment section what you if you agree, disagree, all that good stuff. And I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Remember to follow Joe on all his social media platforms, all of his channels, YouTube and all his podcast platforms. All of his links can be found in my description. Remember to show your support to this channel as well. If you like, share, and subscribe if you're watching the video format, or if you're on any of the podcast networks, remember to show your support there, and to follow @TV on Basketball on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for updates on the podcast and for other content. So yeah, hope you guys have a fantastic day. Take it easy, guys. Peace.